or in Los, but it doesn't say
Yeah.
where
No,
the.
yeah. We're on. Okay, so
Okay.
hello. So here we are, another week with Craig, with my friend Craig. I don't know if you have never seen me, but my name is Mónica, and I am the author of El Blog para Aprender Inglés and El Blog del Inglés. Now the new blog is called Blog del Inglés. And I have an academy where we teach English to Spanish students. And here with me is Craig.
Hi.
And so, Craig,
So I'm Craig. If you don't know me, I write material for a website called La Mansión del Inglés, and you can find that at mansioningles.com. There's lots of free material and courses. And also, I have a podcast with a co-host, and you can find the free podcast, which is weekly, every week, at inglespodcast.com.
so today we're talking about vocabulary to tell stories, no?
Yeah.
But I wanted to give this Facebook Live a different angle, a different perspective, because normally most when people talk about how to tell a story, we talk about the structure of the story, like introduction, the body of the story, and a conclusion. And you can find many posts with this kind of information. You just search Gemma. I knew Gemma was here. Hello, Gemma. And Christine, thank you very much. Lovely to see you again.
Good evening.
So good evening. Well, good evening and good morning. Could be
Good
that they're
morning.
in
Good
another.
afternoon.
We know Gemma is in Madrid, so it's the same time. Christina
Where are you,
was
Christine? Are you in? I think you're in Spain, aren't you, Christine? I don't know
also.
which part of
I
Spain.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she'll write it. Okay, so I was saying that I wanted to give a new perspective to this show, and it's about the vocabulary that you have to use when you tell a story. Because I find it quite difficult because many times you need very specific verbs or nouns or adjectives to describe a situation. No, so they are verbs. Usually they're C1 or C2 level, and there's not the common verbs like I fell down, I was happy, I was upset, or all these adjectives like that. It's much more precise. So this is what we're going to do today, and I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy it. And so we have a list of. I have searched the list of verbs that I think can be quite useful for narrating stories that are very complex. A little bit, not very, but a little bit more difficult than the beginner's story, So I want, of course, if you have any feedback, please write it down. We try to answer your questions about stories when you need to tell a story or a verb that you don't know and how you can express those things. So, wait a minute. I have to start for the first one, for example. Okay, so what we can do is, at least this is my suggestion. I'm making a suggestion, Craig. What do you think?
Okay.
We say the verb or the word that it's a little bit special word or more advanced level of English, and then we say an example or tell a short story with
Yep.
that verb.
Good idea.
And okay, do you want to start with tiptoe?
Okay. To tiptoe, yeah, it's a verb. Usually it's a verb. You tiptoe, that means you walk on the tips of your toes, especially to be quiet. So you don't want to make any noise. Imagine you go out with your friends and you drink too much and you get drunk and you come back and you don't want to wake up your wife or your husband. So you open the door quietly and you tiptoe very quietly and go to sleep. So it's not making a noise, it's walking very quietly. You tiptoed up the stairs without making a noise. And you can walk on tiptoe as well. So you can use it as a verb or as a noun to walk on tiptoe.
Have you ever tiptoed when you come back home
That would be
late?
telling, wouldn't it? That would be telling. In my younger days, I had to tiptoe so that I didn't wake up somebody in the house who was
Yeah.
sleeping. But it's very difficult to do when you had too much to drink.
Yeah, it is
To
difficult
tiptoe.
because, well, especially,
You don't have the
uh,
coordination.
yeah, no, and also if the person has a light sleep and wakes up with any noise,
Yeah.
especially mothers and fathers. Usually, mothers they always wake up. So it's a quite difficult thing to do, actually. If anybody has done this, maybe you can tell us also a short story with these verbs that we're going to be showing. Okay, let's go for the second one. Climb. Climb is, well, I think it's a common verb, but I wanted to put this verb because it's necessary to know climb, because sometimes when you're describing a story, you actually climb. For example, to climb a mountain, you climb any obstacle, because it can be anything. It can be anything that is on I started climbing, and then something went wrong, and I slipped, and I don't know. I tumble. We're going to see another verb like that. So whenever you do something, things can go wrong. And that's why we have stories, because we are telling stories are always, there's something that goes wrong, and then you fix it, no? More or less, this is the plot of all the stories. We have an introduction, something goes wrong, and then we fix it. Okay. So climb, it will be something, a verb that we used at the beginning when I went to climb a mountain. Can you give me other examples, Craig, of climbing?
You can
Climb without the B.
climb.
The B is silent.
Be silent. Be careful of the pronunciation.
Yeah,
It's a regular verb, so the
it's a
past.
regular verb. Yeah,
And you can climb up the stairs. So
yeah.
you get home, you go in the house on tiptoe, and you climb up the stairs quietly. So you can also climb a ladder, which is escalera, I think, in Spanish.
Escalera. Yeah, a
So you can
ladder.
climb a ladder to clean the windows.
Yeah. So, and sometimes it goes wrong and you fall. So that's why we have here climb, to climb. And then there's the next one, and this can be used. This is for babies, no? But this is Craig's. But also adults have this problem. Okay.
Well, going back to my example of coming home drunk, if you're very, very drunk and you fall over as you're climbing the stairs, you're probably going to move on your hands and knees. And if you're moving on your hands and on your knees, you are crawling like a baby. So to crawl is to move on your hands and knees, to crawl across the floor.
Have you ever crawled into your bed?
Yes, when I get home very late, for example, I'm very tired. I pull back the covers and I crawl into my bed. You can crawl under your bed if you're hiding. If you're playing with children, you crawl under the bed. So you can add a preposition, crawl up, crawl under. The same with climb up, climb down. You can add a preposition to make a phrasal verb.
Oh, so, Christine says she's living in Valencia too. So, and Rafa's here. Hi. Yeah.
Hi,
so
Rafa.
it's fine.
Christine's
So
amazing.
yeah, I just talk crawl. That crawl has many uses, and I can just imagine in a story somebody who's drunk and crawls into bed because you cannot walk normally when you're drunk.
Let's hope it's the right bed and it's not the wrong bed. That's
also another problem. You get into the wrong bed.
That's a big mistake.
So another verb is to drop. Drop is a very common verb. And here I would like to mention fall and drop, because this is when you have an intermediate level, these two verbs can be a problem, okay? Because in Spanish, we have only one verb, okay? And it's to fall, caer. But to drop is dejar caer. So, for example, I dropped my pen or my whatever, my cup, whatever you're holding, you can drop it. So you have to be careful. If you drop something, probably it's going, like this cup I have here, it will, if I drop it, it will break. So that is, it could be a story, you know. I was drinking and then suddenly I dropped my cup. This happens in restaurants, and it broke, and everybody was wet, you know, because I splashed all the tea on top of the coffee, and that's an accident. So drop is dejar caer, not to fall. Fall is when you fall, okay? So drop is more for an object, and fall is for a person. And then fall has another problem. Well, also drop, but let's say fall, you can fall on, you can fall over, you can fall all kinds of prepositions. And drop off. Oh, do you know at the airport? I'm sure you've seen that.
Drop off.
Drop off your baggage.
Yes.
Usually, when you go to the airport, now the new systems that everything is done by machines. You drop off your suitcase, and then you go in. Okay.
You can also drop off to sleep. Means to fall
Yeah.
asleep.
Yeah.
I dropped off after lunch. I didn't drop off the chair. I dropped off and fell asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing about drop, when it's a regular verb, so it's ed, but be careful of the pronunciation because it's a plosive sound with the p, the p. Then the final ed is pronounced t, so it's dropped.
Yes, it's like stop. It's the same as a
stopped.
Stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. This t, because it's very strong. The p is very strong, so you need to say t, not the. Yeah, and Rafa says, "Oh, phrasal verbs." Yeah, phrasal verbs. Sorry. Okay, we have drop, and this is for you. Spin.
Spin is to turn quickly. If you think of your fan, ventilador in Spanish, that you'll probably be needing soon when we get to the hot weather in the summer here in Spain. So the fan spins around very quickly, doesn't it? So anything that moves around quickly spins. And going back to our example of coming home drunk, if you come home drunk, sometimes your head spins, doesn't it? You lay in your bed, or the room spins. It seems like the room is moving around. So the room is spinning, and it's irregular. So it's spin, span, spun. So the same as swim, swam, swum, or drink, drank, drunk. Spin, span, spun.
Craig, that we already have the whole story of coming back home drunk because you tiptoe, you try to climb the.
I can feel there's a theme this week. There's a theme of
you crawl into bed, you drop your, I don't know, you drop your wallet, and then your head started spinning. We already have half of the story there. And then my head is spinning, and the spin also is a noun. There are many other uses of spin.
On your washing machine, the same idea. Your washing machine spins, so it's a spin cycle.
Yes, but a spin off, for example, for companies, there's another use of that verb. Okay, now let's go to this one. This soar, also kind of confusing, this verb, because at least two meanings. Soar is for, I can say that a bird soars, so to go up. But Craig can explain this very well. He said, a bird soars when it goes up, but in a very majestic way, very beautiful.
Yes, when you think of the big birds, they say birds of prey, like eagles and
eagles, they soar.
Hawks, they soar because they're on the air and they're moving with the air currents, so they're soaring high in the sky. So it's a very majestic, beautiful thing to watch these birds soaring high in the sky. Yeah,
I like the adjective majestic because it's Latin actually, so it's easy to remember for you. Majestic, the eagle soared majestically on in the sky, no? And then we have another meaning here, soar, for subir como la espuma. In Spanish, we say that. Subir como la espuma. Suppose when you have water, there's this foam on top and it goes very, very, very quickly. That's the word in Spanish. So, but there's a collocation, a strong collocation here with shares, stock, prices, no, shares, acciones, and for business English. So, for example, the shares, I bought Amazon shares, and you know what? They soared.
Is that true?
No, I wish it were true.
I wish I had bought shares in Zoom. They've really soared.
Yeah, Zoom. Well, but there are many of these companies like Tesla or.
Yeah, but it can also be a negative way. For example, unemployment has soared.
Yeah, it can also be negative.
A bad thing. Yeah.
It can also be negative, but it's important to understand that is very fast. So on the one hand, it can mean elevarse for a bird or some object. Also, objects can soar in the sky. And another meaning is it's a figurative meaning. It's not a real meaning, because for shares, for stock, is figurative. They don't really fly, the shares. So the same is in Spanish. Okay, then skyrocket is also subir. Yes, correct, Christine. Our C2 level student is there. Christine, one day you can replace me. I think.
You can replace me as well.
Yes. Okay, slide. This is for you.
Slide, yeah. Deslizar. So one thing I used to do when I was young, I had in my kitchen, there was a floor that was very smooth. And when it was clean, which was quite usual, I used to take off my shoes, and just in my socks, I would run and stop, and then I could slide across the floor. So that's what slide means when it's a verb, to slide across something. When it's a noun, it's that thing that children use to go down in the park. So a slide in the park is where children play and they go to the top, they climb the ladder and slide down the slide.
Es un tobogán. Yeah, in Spanish, it's un tobogán. Yeah,
well, that's interesting,
because
a toboggan is for snow in English. That's interesting.
No, this is, well, as far as I remember, it's just in the park, the slide in the park. I remember one time I went up when I was very young. Well, it must have been like 6 years old. And I went up and it was very high and I started crying because I thought I couldn't go down because it was too high. And because we'll see this word later, I am a little bit, I would say clumsy, but awkward. Torpe. Okay.
While you're explaining the next word, just give me a second. I need to plug in my computer before it closes on me. So
okay. Why? Because the battery is running.
The battery's
okay.
Low,
Tobogán. Yeah. Rafa says tobogán. Yes, it is tobogán. Good. Thank you very much, Maria Angeles. And thank you, Rafa. Yeah, because you helped me. Because I wasn't completely sure about it, but a slide is a tobogán in Spanish. So let's see. Let's wait for swipe. I swipe this word. I suppose everybody knows this word from touching a screen. For example, an iPad or a tablet or your phone. Exactly this is to swipe when you go like this. No, but this word has another meaning, and it means golpear. No. That is not so common, this meaning, no? So you can say, for example, a car swiped me coming out of the parking garage or parking lot, no? So it hit me. That is another meaning, is a regular verb of the word swipe. So, and swipe has another meaning that is to steal. Still, no? Can you give us an example? I don't know if Craig.
An example of what? Swipe?
A swipe for stealing. Remember stealing. The meaning as a stealing?
Yes, I was in the train station yesterday and I wasn't looking and someone swiped my backpack. when I wasn't looking.
Swiped my
I
backpack.
swiped my backpack.
You know what? The way I used to remember this word, for me, is a mnemotechnique way, is with the cat. Because what cats do, I love cats. What cats do when they don't like something, they go exactly what and also for stealing. Stealing is also, you can visualize the situation. Have you seen cats when they get angry and they go like, and in Spanish, I don't know if this movement of the cat has a name. Me dio un manotazo. I think it's un manotazo. I would say swipe is something like that. Well, un manotazo is for a person because it's from hand, but with the paw, they go fuck, and that's to swipe. Cats swipe, right?
And
so
Christine's saying it's always common. It's super common. The expression to swipe up.
Swipe up, especially. Swipe up, swipe down. Yes, correct.
That's good.
And Felipe says in Chile, the name of the slide is Revalin. Yeah, that's why I was also doubtful about this. There are different meanings, different words for the same thing. But I would like you to remember, if you want to remember swipe, slap. Felipe is asking about, can it be, slap es una, no, Felipe. Slap es una bofetada. Like this. Exactly. That's not really swipe. Swipe is like the cat, like I'm saying, like the cat. The cat does like this to you. If you remember that, probably there's a very good visualization of the word. I love cats because they have their own personality, and they don't like something, they go, they swipe.
Of course, dogs are lovely too, and they don't swipe you.
No, they are much nicer, dogs, but I like cats.
I know, you're a cat.
I like cats and I like dogs. Sorry, I like animals in general. Okay, roll. That's easy.
Roll, you can roll down a hill, for example. There we are with those prepositions again to make Rafa happy with the phrasal verbs. You can roll up some paper. If you've got some paper here, you can roll it up. And you can roll down a hill or down a mountain. To roll. It's also a noun, a roll. So you can have a roll of newspaper, a roll of paper, a roll of wrapping paper, for example. And you can also have a roll that's made of bread. A bread roll is a round, how do you say that in Spanish? A round bread, a small bread.
Like
a round.
I need help from the audience because I don't remember. For me, it's un bollo, un pan.
Panecito.
Panecillo, but panecillo. Like a roll, sushi roll. Somebody says sushi roll. Yeah, that's perfect. Rafa, my cat, UFO. My cat, like an
UFO.
Okay, that's roll, and roll is very useful. I think it's a very useful word for a story. Bollo. Maria Ángel says bollo. Yeah, it's un bollo, un rollo. Yes. Yeah, but because we don't say rollo for the bread. But I find that the word roll is very useful for a story because sometimes you roll over something or something rolls over you. Panecillo. Rafa says panecillo. Okay, let me.
Rock and roll as well.
Rock and roll. Yes. Glide. Okay, glide. Here we have two meanings. First, I want you to visualize somebody flying in a small aircraft, and maybe like a plane, but a plane that flies without an engine. I don't know how do you call that? Plane without an engine?
A glider.
That's it. That's my word. A glider. You've seen that when that is the word planear in Spanish. So it's a glider because
Yeah.
you glide, you go like this, like dancing in the sky. No, it's very nice. But glide can also be used with ice, for example. If you go ice skating, do you know how to ice skate, Craig?
Or I have ice skated before. I think I can just stay on my feet, but I
Oh,
can't. I mean, glide
you
will be
cannot glide.
too ambitious for me to glide
Yes.
across the ice. It will be too
And this
ambitious.
is
But I
something
can
that,
stay on my feet, I think.
and this is something you learn when you're very young. And if you don't learn it when you're very young, I don't think it's possible to glide. In this case, in Spanish would be deslizarse because you glide, no? And but you can do it, and it's similar to in the sky, no? But it's
Mhm.
in Spanish, it's two words, two different words. So glide for the sky, and glide also for the ice or surface. You, I think, a kind of surface, a kite. Okay. Rafa said that the bollo, like a roll, is called Vienna. Vienna. It could be in some bakery, but I don't know because it's not my specialty. The names of these different buns and that sorts of bread. A kite, Christine, good point there, because a kite glides too. So it goes like dancing. So do you say glide a kite or fly a kite?
Fly a kite.
Yeah, but it can glide.
You could say the kite was gliding in the.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd use a glide with a kite. You fly a kite flies. That's a common collocation. Glide with
Well,
kite
we
isn't a
can look it
common
up.
collocation because it's not actually moving like an aeroplane, like a glider. A glider moves through the air, but a kite just hangs there in the wind.
Because you're holding it.
Yeah, you're holding it. There's a string. So
Hmm.
it's not a common collocation, but fly a kite is the collocation. As Rafa said, eagles glide through the sky. Yeah, eagles, hawks.
Panecillo de bien. Rafa says I was a baker. Oh, he knows quite well.
Have you listened to the podcast that we made on bread, Rafa? Because it was really worrying me. It was annoying me that we said bread rolled, and I couldn't remember that it was bollo or panecillo that we translated it to Spanish.
Somebody
I'm-
says you're echoing.
I'm echoing. I think I know why. Just a second. Thank you for telling me that.
Eduardo, thank you. There's an echo.
Yeah.
I cannot hear the echo, but I don't know. Maybe
Hello?
it's because the volume is too high.
Has that stopped the echo? Is that
Let us
better?
know, Eduardo, if the
That
echo
should
has
be.
stopped.
It should have gone now.
End up. End up is very, very useful. This
Yes,
is
at
a
the
very
end of the
useful verb.
story, I ended up blah blah blah. So I ended up falling on the floor, or I ended up having an accident, or I ended up coming home from the pub drunk, for example. So it really means in the end, what happens in the end. And that's an interesting thing. What's the difference between in the end and at the end? In the end is very similar to end up. So it really means finally, al final. Whereas at the end is usually at the end of something. For example, at the end of the class, at the end of the lesson, at the end of the book, this happened. So when you're telling a story used to end up, which would happen at the end of what happened to you. So I ended up feeling very happy, or I ended up spending a lot of money, for example. To end
Okay.
up.
Very.
Rafa, it stopped. Thank you, Rafa. Good.
I want to insist on how useful this word is, because in every story you tell, there is some kind of end up. Like you say, we ended up drinking too much. We ended up realizing it was not the moment to do that. So end up is very, very useful for stories. Try to remember that phrasal verb. It's going to make your story much nicer. And it's not finished. It's not the same as to finish, okay? Because acabar is to finish, but it's not in this sense. Acabamos haciendo algo is to end up. To make a long story short, this is a sentence that I always use when I don't want to tell something that is boring and very long. So, for example, I want to tell the story when Craig came back home drunk.
The one time.
The one time. And then I said, well, I can say, well, he was tiptoeing, he climbed up the ladder, he crawled into bed. Well, to make a long story short, his wife didn't really realize that he was drunk, but he was drunk. Okay, yeah. So that's what I would do with that expression, because it's not only one word, and is to summarize. But is I always use it to go to the conclusion immediately, so that I don't have to tell so many stories, because there's no time, because we're not too interested. Many reasons, no.
As Eduardo says, in a nutshell. Is
in a nutshell, also possible. In a nutshell, yeah, there are many words. Now, it's very nice, this expression, in a nutshell, because if you think in a nutshell, it's very, very small.
Yep.
En una nutshell, what is a nutshell? Now, una cáscara de nuez, en una cáscara de nuez, pues, long story short, yeah. My teacher
I was going to say that, Christine, thank you. You can just say long story short, because you can omit some words, and it's just easier to say long story short.
This is an ellipsis.
Yes.
Yeah. No, so you long story short. Okay, and then you have the expression. This is more expressions that we can use when you are surprised, or when you're describing your feelings. So for you, Craig, to be blown away.
Yeah, it's usually positive. I was blown away by the beauty of the painting, for example.
Yeah.
Or I was blown away by how well Christine spoke English. So it's a very, very good impression, a very positive way to say that you were extremely impressed by something. I was blown away by the performance of the actress in the theater,
and
for example.
What I find is funny, because you have explained many times that phrasal verbs have a figurative meaning, because this is a figurative meaning, but have a real meaning. Yeah. And the real meaning to be blown away is to blow with the wind.
Yeah, the paper blew away.
Yeah, exactly. So my papers blew away. And it's exactly that, because you go flying like, oh, I'm so surprised, because I'm up in the sky, no? So surprised that I'm even up in the sky, no? That's the meaning of that. And the opposite, this is a little bit negative connotation, no? Because, but this is very easy to understand, because this is expression that we can use in Spanish, and people use the word shock. In Spanish, you can use that word. And so most people understand this expression, because you're shocked. For example, well, I was shocked when I discovered that she was cheating on him. Okay, for example. Or I was shocked when I saw that they had stolen the car. I went out and I was totally shocked. You know? So we have in Spanish also very good verbs to describe this situation. But it's important, I think, not to confuse to be blown away, to be shocked, to know a little bit when it's positive and when it's negative. No, sometimes you're confused with that.
And an easy way to remember shock is if you can get shocked by electricity.
Oh, yes.
Electric shock.
Yes.
So if you can imagine putting your hands in a live electric socket and you get shocked.
Yes, it comes from there.
It's a similar impression in a negative way, obviously, when something has a very strong negative impression on you. I was shocked to see that there was no money in my bank account, for example.
Exactly. And I was going to put this word, to tell you the truth, Christine. Yes, I was going to put it, but then the list was so long that I thought, no, it's too many. but it's two.
When I saw your
Mm,
list, Monica, I was gobsmacked to see that you hadn't
exactly, because
included.
there are too many words.
I was
There's too many
gobsmacked to
words
see.
because you need a lot of verbs. If you want to write C1, C2 level, the story with the C1, C2 level, you need a lot of these very precise verbs because it's not any verb. I want to insist on this. That's the reason why it's so long. Verbs and other adjectives and expressions, no? And the same for this one, for example. This is a very common. This is for you.
Just 1 second. Let me
Yeah.
comment that gobsmacked is more informal, Christine, than
Then
shocked.
that's
Gobsmacked, I would not write in a formal email, for example. I would use the word shocked. I was shocked to discover that you didn't refund my money. I would not write gobsmacked. It's a lot more informal in the use.
Yeah. And to be overwhelmed. That's your turn.
To be overwhelmed. To how can I describe to be overwhelmed?
Yes, like
Abrumado. I did not know
yes.
that word in Spanish.
Yeah, abrumado.
I've been overwhelmed recently because I've had so much work to do.
Yeah.
I've been working a lot, so I've been overwhelmed by work. So it's to be affected, and it can be in a positive way and it can be in a negative way. So you can be overwhelmed by the feeling of relief, for example, or you can be overwhelmed by the response of your friends in a difficult situation. So it can be positive and it can be negative.
In Spanish is mostly negative. Okay. But it could, yeah, now that you're saying it, I was thinking it could be that you use that word abrumado in a positive way. Yeah, because
I was overwhelmed by their generosity.
yeah, exactly. But it's
Would you
more
use
that. Sorry.
would you use abrumado to describe the situation in India at the moment with coronavirus? Because the health system is overwhelmed at the moment. So I
Yes,
use
you
that
could
to
say
describe
that.
the
Yes,
situation
you
in
could
India.
say that. But for example, with generosity, in a way, yeah, generosity is a positive thing, but what you're feeling is not so positive because it's like you don't know how to manage it. So it's negative in a way. No, it can be, okay, I receive €1,000,000 and I'm overwhelmed. Okay, it's very positive because I have more money. But maybe I'm kind of, I don't know what to do, no? What should I do? That's overwhelmed. Well, if you say the word abrumado, yeah, look what Rafa says. Estoy abrumado por vuestras muestras de cariño. Yeah, exactly.
And I am overwhelmed, Rafa, by your dedication to English.
Exactly. And this happens when you have too much on your plate. Exactly.
You become overwhelmed.
Eduardo Inglés also says the same. Estresado. Gemma says that gobsmacked is estresado.
No, I think she means overwhelmed is estresado.
I don't know.
Because you can.
Yeah. You're right.
You can be stressed. If you're overwhelmed by work, you can be stressed.
Yeah. Okay. This is for me. To crack up. I like this one. I like this one because it's very funny. When you're telling a funny story, you can use this verb because it's, patice de la risa. I cracked up when Craig told me the story about coming home drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning, tiptoeing. I cracked up. So because I thought it was funny. He thought it was overwhelming, but I thought it was funny. And so it's a very useful phrasal verb. Many times you don't know because it's not only to laugh, but it is funny because it's the noise. You start ha ha ha, like this is you crack up. Like yes, it's more intense. No, you cannot stop laughing because it's so funny. No, so I like that situation exactly, Craig. Okay, so it was estresado.
And it's the same pronunciation as we had. I can't remember which verb we had before with a k sound at the end. So it's the t when it's past. I cracked up. So it's the t sound when it's ed. Cracked up.
Let me see. This is for you, Craig.
Burst out laughing. Yeah, you probably know the verb to burst. If you blow up a balloon and then you stick a pin in the balloon, it bursts. To burst a balloon. So if you suddenly start cracking up and laughing a lot, you burst out laughing. Imagine you're sitting in a classroom, an English class, and the teacher's speaking and everybody's quiet. I can hear an echo now. I think the echo's still there. Anyway, and suddenly something funny happens. Maybe the students burst out laughing. All of a sudden, suddenly they start laughing together. To
Yeah,
burst out.
typical situation with especially with teenagers. There's there's one that is making, that is telling jokes and cracking jokes, and then somebody, everybody bursting out laughing. Okay, banners. Let's see, next one. My favorite expression, to be awkward. When you're describing a situation, for example, I don't know, Craig says something to me that I don't want to talk about. So something that is a little bit confidential. And Craig goes and says, "Oh, remember that time when you did that?" And
when you came home drunk and you called up
and
the stairs.
I don't want my husband or anybody around me to know that. He is the only one that knows it, and he goes and says this. And I am going to feel a bit awkward.
It's an awkward situation.
That was an awkward situation, because on the same time, I cannot go to Craig and say, "Shut up." Because if I say "shut up," everybody's going to notice that I don't like it. So for me, the feeling that I have inside is awkward. Yeah. So maybe later I revenge, but in the moment I don't like it. It's a very awkward situation, and it's very common when you're telling stories. That's why I chose that term.
Also, if you want to tell somebody something, but maybe it's a sensitive topic, and it's something that you feel uncomfortable to say, you could say, "Well, I want to tell him, or I want to tell her, but it's a bit awkward. So I'm not going to say anything." It's an awkward situation, an awkward theme, an awkward topic.
I don't know if I'm hearing you lower. But maybe it's my thing. The voice suddenly
I'm still playing with my sound here. Is the echo gone?
Yeah, the sound suddenly went down, and
I've changed something on the
settings.
Eduardo.
Yeah.
Eduardo, can you hear an echo now?
Let me
see. You can't hear me. 1 second. I'll have to change that back.
Yeah, Christine is saying the same. Christine was saying the same, because I had the same situation. I can barely hear you, Craig. Yeah, this is too low. The sound is too low. But yeah, nothing. We cannot hear you. Hello? No, that's not okay. There's no sound. Okay? Yeah, now you're back. Now you're back. Okay, so
can you hear me?
Either okay your voice. Yeah, I can hear you okay. At least I can hear you okay. But suddenly it was no sound. Okay, awkward also. I did not mention this. Awkward can be also has another meaning, and it has to do with not having too much style when you, for example, you walk, or you're not very elegant. Awkward way of walking. It's also in the sense of strange. You are clumsy. You don't work. You don't move very elegantly. That's awkward too. But in a story, I would say that this is less used for a story, because we want to say we mean more like incómodo, extraño, no? You see I'm bursting out laughing. I hear the echo.
I think that's because of Eduardo. He said that.
The master of sound is. Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying something different. I'm trying to improve the quality, but I'm making it worse. So.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it happens. Okay, Craig, I have a new expression for you.
Yeah, I think this is a word you probably know, but it's interesting because it can be a false friend. because it's not embarazado or embarazada. Obviously, that's pregnant in English. So if you feel embarrassed, tienes vergüenza. And
Yeah.
an embarrassing situation can also be an awkward situation. If you need to tell somebody something that's difficult, you can get embarrassed. So you don't really want to say it. Sometimes speaking about money can be embarrassing. Sometimes speaking about sensitive things can be embarrassing. So
Yeah, it was
and
very.
one more thing, sorry. One more thing is to notice the passive and active differences. So if the thing is embarrassing, you are embarrassed by the subject. Okay.
Yeah, there was a very embarrassing situation when I came home drunk.
You were embarrassed.
Yes, I am ashamed. There's another way of saying, yeah, that you're embarrassed. Another, yeah, is a good, also another, in this case is an adjective. Yeah, well, we saw it's an adjective. Embarrassing also is an adjective. Okay, a next one for me. What is embarrassing?
Yes, I will be, Eduardo. I'll be very embarrassed by the bad sound when I listen back to this.
Okay.
It's like learning English, Eduardo. You have to be able to make mistakes. If you don't try to improve and put yourself out there and be exposed to be embarrassed by bad English or bad sound, then you're not going to improve. So I'm trying to improve. I'm a little embarrassed because I'm making mistakes and the sound's bad.
Yes, that's the normal process of learning anything. This is the learning curve, and you shouldn't be afraid of that. You just do it, and then one day it gets better. Then I have this one, to slip, and then we have to trip. This is also about movements, and that is resbalar. Okay, so for example, the floor was wet and I slipped. Past tense, also P, ed, no? I slipped and I fell over and I almost broke my neck. This is something that my husband always says. Hey, you made the floor wet. I almost broke my neck. As he always says this. And I didn't realize it was wet. No, and sometimes when it's funny when you slipped, but sometimes it's not funny at all. And it happened to me, but I didn't really slip. I tripped. I'm going to say when you. So I'll tell this story. It happened to me 2 weeks ago. So slipped is when the floor is wet, when there's some surface that you can glide like great, you can glide, or if you're clumsy like me, you just slipped. You just fall.
Like on a banana.
Yeah, like in a banana peel. Yes, exactly. Like in a banana peel, you can slip. So, next one.
I think you explained the next one. Is it to trip? Yeah.
Yes.
So Monica explained to trip. So it's more
there's an obstacle. Yeah.
Miss your footing.
Yeah.
So you see there's something in the road, for example, you don't see it and you trip. Of course, slip and trip are very common to be used as phrasal verbs, Rafa. So you can slip over, you can slip down, you can trip over, which happened to me about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was looking at my phone and I didn't see that the step went down in the road on the side of the pavement, and I tripped over and I fell over. And it was really embarrassing because 2 ladies were coming back from shopping and they had to help me to
get up. Yeah.
And I felt really embarrassed. It was really awkward. So I tripped over. So to trip
you
over. You
tripped over, but what? I didn't understand. What was? I didn't pay attention. You tripped over what?
Well, if you've got the road and then the pavement, it's not the same level. It's called a curb in English. So I tripped down the curb. I didn't see the curb. I was looking at my phone, and
but this is a very common situation.
Yeah, but
and this is exactly what I was going to tell that happened to me. I did exactly the same thing. And but in my case, it was not the phone. There were two guys fixing the switch, and they had opened, the manhole cover,
Yeah.
la tapa de la alcantarilla.
Hmm.
They took it out. I was walking, no, and I see these two guys. They were cleaning the switch or doing something. I said, and I wanted to look what was inside, and instead, I didn't raise
You were
my
being
feet
nosy.
enough. Yeah. So I tripped over, and I fell really badly. Yeah, I was on the floor. I was lying on the floor, and the guys came to me and said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I said, "This happened to me because I'm too curious, like cats." Like looking there, I shouldn't have looked, but I don't know. I feel attracted to know what was happening, but nothing happened to me.
It
I was
happened
very
to
happy.
Rafa. It happened to Rafa last month as well. He
Yeah.
twisted his ankle.
Yeah.
But
Here.
don't use the article though, Rafa. Not the last month, just last month. You'd
Yeah.
say December is the last month of the year, but when you speak about the month that's just passed, it will be last month I tripped over, or last week, or last year, without the article.
Yeah, last month it happened to me. I twisted my ankle. And let me see, comments about it. I slipped while I was explaining yeah, that can happen to my clients because of the ice on the floor. I broke you broke your elbow.
Oh,
That's very bad.
That's
You
really
you can describe this story with all these verbs. As soon as I read this verb, it came to mind these two verbs: slipping through my fingers, mamma mia, and to slip your mind. Well, that's a different meaning. Okay, so this is the your mind is how do you say that?
to forget.
To forget. Yeah, se me pasó, yeah, no, se me pasó. I didn't, and it slipped through my fingers. I don't know how to. Se me escapó.
It's to miss an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Se me escapó.
To miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
I was going to be promoted, but I didn't answer in time, so the opportunity slipped through my fingers. I missed the opportunity.
Felipe says, "Senitude, mind the gap between the pavement and the road." Right? Correct.
Yes.
In London. So,
Good.
boof. And Rafa says, "I have a prophecies." Whoa, that was very bad. So
Serious accident.
this is a serious accident. It's
Yeah.
not so funny. The most important thing when you trip over is to check if someone saw you, no matter how bad you.
Yeah.
To avoid. Very good example, Eduardo.
Before you start crying, always look and see if someone can see you crying. If there's no one there, you can cry.
Yes.
Ow!
I was that. Then okay. Then we have to tumble, and this. You know how I remember this verb? The dryer, la secadora, has a cycle that is called tumble dry.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever seen. Have you ever seen a dryer how it works?
Yeah, the clothes tumble.
Exactly, and then it's very useful to remember that because the clothes went up and down and up and down, and then it dries. That's why it's called tumble dryers. And then it's in Spanish is dando vueltas, no? So you instead of rolling, you can say rolling down the stairs. I tumble down the stairs.
And it's often with down, isn't it? Because things tumble downwards. So
Yes.
you can tumble down the stairs, or if you're like me and you have lots of boxes in your cupboard, if you open the cupboard quickly, the boxes tumble down on your head.
Yeah. And this is the expression, well, I'm going to go a little bit faster, to almost break your neck. I already said that. It's your turn. Yeah.
To break your neck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's obvious. Your neck is cuello in English. So if you break your neck, then you're in serious trouble. So you can fall over and break your neck. It's a typical thing for a mother to say. Maybe don't play on the slide. If you fall over, you might break your neck, for example. You might have
to be lying on the floor. Yeah, you ended up lying on the floor. Yeah, this is for accidents, to describe accidents. To be in pain, agony.
I'm sure when Rafa fell and broke his elbow, he was in a lot of pain and he must have been in agony when he fell over.
And the two ones, the next ones are very easy for Spanish speakers because to be imprudent is the same.
Prudente.
And in English, it sounds very formal.
Prudent.
Yeah. And also to be negligent. Well, sorry, Craig, because I want to go faster because I think we still
okay.
have a lot,
Carry
and
on.
it's almost the time.
We only have a few more words anyway.
To be absent-minded.
I'm very absent-minded. This morning I took my milk. I made some coffee and I took the milk into the bathroom because I was thinking of something. I'm very absent-minded. I don't think.
That's very, very common situation to be absent-minded. Is also a very, very useful expression, adjective that you can use in stories. Here we repeated abrumado. No, we already said that. Overwhelmed. These descriptions of to be. This is for sad stories. For to be devastated. I was devastated when I heard the news. No, bad news. Devastated, but sometimes we exaggerate with this verb because, normally this is quite strong. If you're devastated, it's very strong. So you shouldn't abuse this verb.
I was devastated when my dog died, for example.
Yeah, well, that could be the case.
Yeah.
And this one, Craig, this is very nice. To be in the doldrums.
The pronunciation is interesting because drum is something a musical instrument that you hit, and the pronunciation is doldrum. So the a becomes a it's a schwa sound. So to be in the doldrums is to be very sad, to be depressed, to feel very miserable and very unhappy. For example, the last few days here in Valencia, hasn't it, Christine? The weather's been quite bad. It's been raining. I can't go outside and do any exercise. So I've really felt in the doldrums because of the bad weather.
In this one, to be grief-stricken, this sounds very Germanic. That doesn't sound Latin. And this is when, this comes when somebody dies because you're grieving. No, that's the origin of this expression. So when somebody dies, you're grief-stricken. You're hit by a bad news. And in Spanish, we would say afligido. Desconsolado would be also devastated. But it's related to death. I would use this relationship with death. No?
Yes.
And then we have a last one. The last one is this one for you.
Which is not so strong as to be grief-stricken or to be devastated. They're very strong expressions. But to feel blue is similar to be in the doldrums. You feel a bit sad, a bit miserable. And if you like blues music, which I do very much, then blues music is quite sad. So that's a good way to remember. If you didn't know to feel blue, just try to remember the blues is quite sad music.
And do you think this verb, because I don't really know, this expression comes from music? Because jazz is a type of jazz that is sad. Because to feel blue,
that makes sense. Yeah, blues music to feel blue.
Because what is the connection? It's like blue, because there's another out of the blue. There's another expression.
But when you listen to blues music, you often hear that expression. I feel blue because of you. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it's
But it probably the origin is in the music.
Possibly.
I have not looked it up, so I don't really know. So maybe we should a very quick review.
Okay.
You can just watch the last 2 minutes of this show and you know everything. Tiptoe, andar en puntillas. Climb, Craig.
Climb, trepar.
Crawl.
Escalar.
Gatear, escalar, yes, too. Gatear, crawl, gatear.
Drop, dejar caer. I dropped off.
Spin, girar.
Soar like an eagle, to fly in the sky like an eagle.
Slide, deslizar.
That's me in my socks on the kitchen floor. Swipe
Swipe.
left, swipe right, swipe up,
Yeah.
or to steal, to swipe something.
To steal or to hit also.
Or your cat swipes you.
Yeah, manotazo, swipe. Right. Roll, rodar. This is very easy. Glide.
Glide, and the aeroplane with no engine is a glider, so it glides through the air with no sound.
To end up, acabar.
And to make a long story short, what did they say? Another similar, in a nutshell, yeah, in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Or make a long story short, or just long story short.
To be blown away, quedarse sorprendido.
To be shocked. I was shocked to find out that I didn't get paid this month.
Yeah, you must be. To be overwhelmed. Estar abrumado.
I cracked up when Monica told me her funny story.
I burst out laughing when Craig told me his funny story.
That was an awkward situation, Monica.
Yes, a very awkward situation. Oh, it was very embarrassing, or that was an embarrassing situation.
I slipped on the banana peel that had been left on the floor.
By Monica. I tripped on the banana peel. No, you don't trip on.
Tripped
You
on the
tripped
banana.
on.
How
No.
big was the banana?
No, it's
was a really
a
big
bigger
banana.
object. You tripped on, for example, a stool. I had not seen it. I was looking and
I tripped over the box of bananas.
A box of bananas, yeah, something bigger. Tumble?
I tumbled down the stairs because I came home drunk.
Okay, yes. I almost broke my neck because of the banana peel that Craig had left there. Okay, to be.
And then Monica slipped over the banana peel. And she was lying on the floor, embarrassed.
Okay, I was in agony. Because I broke my leg. Okay.
It was very painful. And I must be imprudent next week. That's the best I can think of.
Yeah, you're very prudent. You're the opposite. I was very negligent. And this is more formal. This is a formal expression. Negligent, and the same in Spanish, so it's not so difficult to understand.
I am very absent-minded. I often forget what I am supposed to be doing.
I was devastated when my cat died.
I felt in the doldrums recently because of the miserable grey weather.
I was grief-stricken when my father died.
We hope you're not feeling blue and that you've enjoyed this Facebook Live, and thanks for keeping us company so that we don't feel blue.
Okay, thank you very much for watching and for all your comments and all your love. And remember to visit Blog para Aprender Inglés and Blog del Inglés. And Inglés, of course, the best podcast in English in the whole world, English podcast, en Mansión del Inglés, with a lot of free resources. Okay? So see you next in 15 days for me, and next week with Lynn.
With
Craig
Lynn.
and Lynn. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.